Hey there, welcome back to Move Mountains Pilates. My name is Jess and I'm so happy to be back here working out with you on this channel. I feel like most people, the holidays kind of took me for a whirlwind. I got sick a while back ago, like 2 weeks ago. I'm even kind of feeling like maybe I'm getting a cold again now. So if I sound a little funny, it's because my throat is feeling a little weird. So keep yourself healthy. I'm drinking all the vitamins through my herbal teas and stuff. But anyways, I was not gonna let that stop me because I've missed you guys and I want to start posting again and working out with you. So here we are. We're gonna spend the next 21 days straight together. So today, when you're watching this, should be January 8th. If not, that's okay, you can start it later. But we're gonna go all the way to the end of January, 21 days straight of Pilates. Today, we have a 28-minute kind of beginner's Pilates workout. So no matter where you are in your Pilates journey, it will be a nice little review of some of the basic principles, a nice little ease back into fitness, or an ease into fitness period if you're kind of new to it all. This is the perfect spot to start. And then if you're not so much of a newbie, that's okay too. Today will be a little bit more chill. We're gonna build up through the challenge. So don't you worry. Each day will be like 15 to 30 minutes tops. So very time manageable. So you can do this. Let's get you into your Pilates era and let's get working out. All right, so getting settled on your back here. Let's just start with your feet a comfortable distance away from you. And then before we do anything, I feel like with just after the busyness of the holidays and going right into a new year and trying to get on board with New Year resolutions and all that, we could probably use a couple deep breaths. So let's start with your hands just on the sides of your ribs. Stick the elbows out kind of wide to get your hands there. And settle, close your eyes, and start by just breathing naturally. You're not thinking about how to breathe, how long your breaths are, any of it. You're just noticing what your breaths are like naturally. Noticing the inhales and the exhales, where your inhales go in your body, whether that's into where your hands are right now, or maybe you're breathing more into your belly or your chest. There's no right or wrong. And then we'll start to tune into our Pilates breath pattern. So that's going to be an inhale through the nose and an exhale through pursed lips. So it's kind of like you're breathing out of a straw. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, force that air out. And you'll notice as you force that air out, your core naturally tightens up. That's part of why we breathe like this in Pilates, part of why we make a little bit of noise with our breath. It's very normal. Get used to it because that's how we breathe in Pilates. Deep core turning on, just gently engaging from the inside out. And also, now let's pay attention to where we have our hands. As you inhale, can you breathe into the sides of your ribs? Feel your breath push into your hands. We like to breathe three-dimensionally with Pilates, so breathing into the sides of the ribs and the back of the ribs. Naturally, we tend to breathe into the front of the ribs, just expanding the whole lungs three-dimensionally. Let your body relax, facial muscles settle, neck relaxes, and shoulders go a bit more heavy. Let's just take one more big breath. Beautiful. That's one of our Pilates principles. Now, another one we're going to review quick before we get into the workout. It's pelvic placement. So let's go ahead and move your hands on top of your belly. You have your thumbs touching the bottom of your ribs and you have fingertips touching your hip bones. Now, pay attention to where you're naturally laying. What areas of your back are touching the floor? It might be the whole back, it might be just the tailbone and the ribs, maybe your low back's floated off. There's no right or wrong. That's probably your neutral position unless you just kind of naturally settle into a different position. So neutral, typically the tail's heavy, there's that natural space behind the low back. Now let's rock into imprint. Tuck the tail, flatten the low back to the floor, and feel your fingers and thumbs gliding closer together because the ribs and hips are gliding together. And then release. I promise this whole workout won't be a whole review of all of your basic principles. I just want to touch on these ones because we're going to talk about them a lot throughout this challenge. So I just want you to know what I'm talking about. Let's do a couple more. Exhale, rocking into imprint. Inhale, neutral. Now, if you're not familiar with Pilates, this probably feels quite strange. That's okay, you'll get the hang of it. Basically, imagine like there's a marble on your pubic bone, and as you tuck into your imprint, that marble rolls to your belly button. And then neutral, it rolls back to the pubic bone. And that will help you to get the movement down. And then notice if, to make that motion happen, are you pushing through your feet? Are you squeezing your bum? Try not to. Try to relax. The legs stay out of this. Instead, it's the abs. It's almost like there's rubber bands connecting your ribs to your hips, and those bands shorten up as you find imprint, and then they release as you find neutral. Let's do just two more. Exhale, engages the abs, so we're going to use that as we find imprint. Inhale, we release. Now your last one, let's hold your imprint. Keep those ribs safety pinned to the hips. Lift one leg tabletop. Put that foot down, change sides, starting really slow. And we'll do a few more. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. And I want you to keep your back stable against the mat the whole time. Whatever points of contact you have, you might have the low back flat while holding imprint. Depending on the structure of your spine, it might not be completely flat. That's okay too. But as long as you're holding your abs nice and tight and focusing on that stability, you should feel your abs working, even if this is a really simple motion. No matter how strong you are, it takes a little bit of abs. Now with your next one, let's lift one leg and then the other. Pause up there. That's what we call tabletop. Then on your exhale, I want you to reach one leg long. Bring it back in, change sides. Exhale, reach. Inhale, return. You'll notice I still have my fingers and thumbs on ribs and hips. So as you're doing this, can you keep that connection? You're only letting that leg go so far that the low back does not try to lift. Keep the ribs knitted down. That's gonna feel nicer on your low back for one thing, but then also it's gonna help you to stay connected into your core. As soon as you lose that connection, there's less ab work happening. That's why we focus on those basic principles first. Breathing helps you to get more out of it, and so does being aware of your body positions. Let's just do one more per side. And then give your knees a hug to your chest. Maybe you rock forwards and back, side to side, kind of massage out the low back. Now you're welcome to stick with that, especially if your back didn't love that. You could even go with a higher diagonal. Or as long as you're feeling good, we're gonna go double legs. So tuck that tail, draw your belly button towards the floor. On your exhale, can you reach both legs? Inhale, return, exhale, reach. Now I find, especially leaving the head down, it's harder for me to get a lower range because head down, the upper spine is long, right? So it's gonna be harder to keep your ribs knitted down. It's harder to keep that kind of scoop position through the lower half of your spine. So just focus on that stability through your imprint, and you should feel your abs quivering. Almost feel the abs draw together and down as you reach. Let's do two. And one. And then another little break, however feels good. Beautiful. Now let's put our feet back down and let's just send the arms long by your sides. Next, all I want you to do is tuck your chin. Then lift your head and hover your arms. And then lower back down. You can either be neutral or imprint, your choice here. Tuck that chin first, then lift. So just doing a few small crunches. It's important that you tuck your chin first before the head lifts off the floor, because that will feel nicer on your neck. Oftentimes the neck gets sore with crunches because you kind of lag it behind. And then keeping the head leaning back, you can see how strained my neck is. So tuck the chin. You basically want to get your neck as vertical in space as possible at the top of that crunch. And that will feel a whole lot nicer. That's actually another one of your Stop Pilates principles, is head and cervical spine placement, so head and neck. And that's just saying that we gotta make sure our neck is following the line of the rest of the spine and has as little tension as possible while we're exercising. There's no point straining your neck unnecessarily. Let's finish this one. Hold your crunch. Reach through your fingertips. That reach is gonna help you slide ribs to hips. However, if you prefer hands behind the head, do that, whatever works. Now, lift one leg, lift your second leg, you're in tabletop. Let's do that single leg reach again. Exhale, reach. Inhale as you switch, exhale, reach. I like to keep it fairly slow. I wouldn't go super fast here, but you could go one and then the other, or legs can pass through. Just keep that reaching sensation. Lift your breastbone up nice and high towards your thighs. Strong exhale on that hard part when that leg is low. Can you even feel your bum squeezing as you reach your leg long? Really reach out of your toes. Make that nice and dynamic. You've got this. 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Give those knees a hug, lower down, release. And then we might as well also do the double leg reach too, in flexion. So if your neck is just hating that, don't bother. You can leave the head down, no worries. Otherwise, tuck that chin, crunch up, the legs are up tabletop. On your exhale, reach it out. Inhale, pull those knees back in. Exhale, reach. As you reach, draw that belly button down, abs knit together. It's okay if you're reaching up to the ceiling. Try to reach at least a little away from your body, but you probably won't go super low. If you can, great, but make sure you're not compromising your form. A good tip with this too, put on Pilates socks with smiley faces. It makes you feel a little bit happier about doing all this ab work. Let's finish off 2 more. And 1. And lower. And I'm warming up. All right, let's take a little break from abs. Put your feet flat on the floor. This time, make sure they're a little closer to your bum. They're a few inches apart in line with the center of each hip. Arms are by your sides. Can you retract the shoulders? Press down through the upper arms. Then let's tuck the tail, find imprint, but then peel your hips off the floor all the way to a bridge and then melt back down. Just rolling bone by bone, as long as that feels good on your back. If you've been told by your doctor or physio to not round your back a whole lot, not go through flexion, then you can just hinge. But if it feels good, and if you haven't been told otherwise, try to really round. And that way you kind of get a nice massage through your back. Personally, my back really likes moving through flexion most of the time. Not all the time though, most of the time. But every day is different, so pay attention to your body today and be patient with it. Especially if you haven't done a whole lot through the holidays and you're just getting back into it, or if fitness is kind of a new thing for you, definitely be patient. It's okay if not everything feels great. You're building strength, you're getting into it, and you will make progress. Can you get that low back touching the floor before hips lift off? And then as you roll down, leave your tail tucked as long as possible. Can you get the ribs down first? Then the low back, then the tail. I like an exhale on the way up, an inhale to hold it at the top, and an exhale to roll back down. Inhale to release. Exhale, roll. What's going on with your shoulders? Have they started to round forwards? Probably if you weren't thinking about them. So can you maybe press down a little bit more through the upper arms, allowing the shoulders to open? Just be aware though, at the top, you're not pressing too much through the upper arms to the point where your ribs are popping. Keep the ribs a little lower than the hips. As soon as the ribs are flaring like that and you're trying to go up like as high as you physically can, then it's the low back. And we're trying to target glutes and hamstrings. So you don't want to go too high. It takes away from the whole point. Let's try 2 more. My glutes are starting to feel it. And then let's hold this next one up there. Little pulses. Release an inch, drive it up. Release and press. Think about the pulse coming because you just let your glutes go, not glow, and then you squeeze. It's not because you physically bring your hips up and down. It's because you just release and then squeeze. Ooh, I'm starting to cramp. Let's do 3 more. 2. See, I haven't done a whole lot during the holidays either. We're in this together. Roll yourself down. Hug the knees. Do what you need to do. I need to stretch my legs. Again, those little happy faces help a lot. It's a good trick, I'm telling you. All right. We're gonna do a little bit more ab work. So, I wanna stretch the legs a bit too. So let's keep the legs long to the sky. If it works for you, you're gonna crunch up, and then we're heading into scissors. One leg goes down, the other pulls towards you, and you switch. I like to grab my calf with my hands to pull the leg in deeper. You can also do hands behind the head. You can also do arms long, whatever makes you feel successful here. And you can add in a little pulse as well. So maybe you open, pulse deeper, open, pulse deeper. Exhale, exhale, inhale, switch. Can you crunch up a little higher? Can you draw your ribs down a little more? 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Now, one of my favorite things to do for abs is a twist, getting deeper into obliques that way. So we're gonna do the scissors again, but with a twist. Let's lengthen the legs. This time start hands behind the head, crunch up. As you scissor, reach one hand up and across to the side of that top outer ankle. Scissoring back and forth, side to side, and reaching up a little higher with every single crunch. Opening the other armpit to the floor. Trying to keep the hips pretty stable. Twisting from around the waist. It might help to look up at your pinky toe to get yourself up higher. 4, 3, 2, hold this last one. Pulse, reach up a little higher, up a little higher. You've got this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Change sides. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax, however it feels good. Big breath. And then we're gonna flip over right onto your belly. Let's start down here with your forehead resting on your hands. I like my feet mat width, turned out laterally. Tail is tucked down, pubic bone roots to the floor, kind of an imprint there. Now, let's hover one straight leg. Lower, change sides. I have my head floated off my hands so that I can easily talk to you. You can do whatever you want. Make sure you're not pressed up too high. Make sure shoulders are relaxed. Trying to keep the upper body out of it. This is a glute focused exercise, so let's not get the shoulders involved. And as you do this, I don't care how high you go. What I care about is you keeping equal weight between your hip bones. So if you're doing that, you might actually feel your core squeezing a little bit as you lift. Let's go 4 more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay. My foot's cramping. Shake that out. And then let's add in the upper body. Send your arms long by your sides. Now, we're still anchoring the tail down so that glutes support the low back. From here, your first thing is going to be retracting your shoulder blades. Then, hover your head and hands away from the floor. You lengthen up. Lower yourself down, hands go down, shoulders round forwards. Start by pinching shoulder blades together, retract, and then lift. That's another Pilates principle, is shoulder, what's it called? Shoulder mobility and stability, something like that. I think maybe they use the anatomical term. You can tell that these principles are something we teach all the time, but it's not something you need to consciously be aware of a lot. I always find breath and pelvic placement are kind of things to learn, but the rest are things to just remind yourself of, right? So for this principle, it's all about making sure your shoulders are in good form. You're aware of where your shoulders are in space. They have good mobility, but they are also able to stabilize when needed. That's why I love this exercise, because of that retraction at the beginning. Pinching the shoulder blades together, already feeling the chest expand. And then as you lift, a little bit of a back extension. Now, it's okay if you're not going as high as I am. I've been doing Pilates for quite a long time, and so I have a pretty good back extension, and I think naturally my back is good with extension. It's okay if you're not there. Maybe you're just coming up just a little off the floor. That's fine too. Just go to the point where you feel work, but not tension. It shouldn't feel painful. Like my low back is feeling it, it's working, but it's not painful. Let's do 2 more. Pinch those shoulder blades, reach through the fingers as you lengthen up. And remember that other principle, the neck. Since we're not going up very high into extension, you should not be looking forwards. Keep the back of your neck long. Your eye gaze will stay somewhere on your mat. Last one. And then we're just gonna press back into a shell stretch. Sit the bum on the heels. Round and reach. I'm doing this with my toes curled under to kind of release that little bit of a foot cramp I've got going on. I also automatically kind of sway in my shell. Whatever feels good for you to release your low back, that's the point of the shell stretch, so do that. Let's take 1 more breath. And then let's just do a little bit of work on your hands and knees. So 4-point kneeling, spread your fingers wide. And if you'd rather go on to elbows, you can do that. Now, shoulder placement. Let's slide shoulders down from the ears and then push the mat away from you. You lift up a little higher. Shoulders are protracted here, wide across your back. Now, keeping that alignment, reach one leg straight back behind you. Put the knee down, change sides. Nice and simple today. We're reviewing the basics. We're being gentle with our bodies, just easing into the new year. Don't worry, throughout this challenge, I will make it harder, and I'll also give you options to not make it super hard if needed. Okay, so you can take what you need. The point of this one is working stability. I love the cue of having your favorite drink on your tailbone. You don't want to spill that drink, okay? So it's not about how high you lift, because then you'll arch the back and hips will go wonky. Instead, reach long. Give your glute a little squeeze, but at the same time, zipper up through the front of your core. That's going to prevent the low back from arching, and it will give you more glute and more abs. Now, for your next one, let's leave your leg long And then let's just pulse up and down. Nice and small. Exhale, lift. Exhale, lift. Keep that hip down in line with the other one. And you should feel the front of your abs working, belly buttons kind of drawn in and up to the ceiling. And you're still pushing the mat away. Watch that you haven't sunk in your shoulders. Lots to think of, I know. But have you thought about anything besides Pilates in the last however long we've been working out together? Probably not. That's the mental benefit of Pilates. How many more are we doing, Jess? You're getting distracted. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Hold the leg high. Now, let's just bend the knee. Your heel goes to the bum, then reach the leg long. It's kind of a hamstring curl, but I want you to keep your knee high. As I bend, notice that my knee stays at the same spot in space, or at least relatively. And I'll flex my ankle as I bend, point the toe as I reach. You don't have to do that if it's too much on your brain. You can just do one or the other. We only have 2 more. And then last one, hold the knee bent, little pulse. Raise the roof with your foot, and let's flex the ankle there. Toes to shin. You got a flat foot against the roof, so you can raise it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down. Give yourself a quick second, and then we just have the other side. Let's get into it. Spread the fingers. Push the floor away. Shoulders are wide from the ears. And the inner part of your elbow, that crease, kind of faces forwards. So watch that you're not kind of rounding inwards. Spiral out, elbow crease faces forwards. That helps with shoulder alignment too. Reach your leg long and pulse. The shoulders are so important to keep stable here because if you sink, it actually puts more pressure into your wrists. So the cause of your wrist pain could just be poor shoulder alignment, something pretty easy to fix. Maybe you just put more weight onto your pinky fingers. That might help with that spiral. We only have 3 more pulses. And then hold that leg high. Pull your heel to the bum and then reach the leg long. Exhale, pull. Inhale, reach. You should feel that hamstring working to keep the knee high. Kind of like you're moving your leg through molasses, something sticky. You have some extra resistance you're pulling your leg through. Sounds crazy, but I swear that makes it feel a lot harder. Let's do 2. Have you sunk in your low back? Draw those ribs in. On your last one, keep the knee bent, pulse. Raise the roof. And almost push down more with that floor knee. And that changes things. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Awesome job. Okay. Now, let's just take a seat, legs straight out in front of you. We're gonna finish with a nice little hamstring stretch because you just did a lot of hamstrings. Start by sitting tall and then just point and flex the ankles. You might even feel a hamstring stretch here. It's so easy to collapse because our hamstrings tend to be tight, same with the low back. Now, relax the ankles, sit up taller, hinge forwards. So think about reaching your heart to the smiley faces on your socks, not to the knees. You're not bending over, you're reaching. It's okay if you barely move. You'll feel your hamstring stretch better. Then, maybe you point and flex your ankles. I'm gonna do one at a time today. You can do both together. I don't like to hold the ankles flexed. That feels like a deeper stretch, but that's really just your nerves. I like to go back and forth because that flosses your nerves. It tells them that it's okay to stretch. 5 seconds. 4, 3, maybe you can go deeper. And 1, and then just kind of fold, collapse. Oh my gosh, such a good back stretch. See, that's the difference. If you're folding, it might be more back focus. If you're long and you hinge, it's more hamstrings. Maybe you turn your head side to side. Release, up and down. And then just stack up tall. And that's it. Great job. That's it. You did it. First day done, 28 minutes. Wonderful. That's a great start. You should feel proud of yourself. Now, before you go, I'd just like to mention that this 21-day challenge probably will be mostly prop free and just you and your body, but I might throw in some props here and there. The first few days, no props, so you have some time to get some props if you feel like you want to add them in, but you can also do this whole challenge with no props and you'll just kind of do the same motions without the props. So that being said, some things you might want to grab: a mini stability ball, so like kind of the size of your head, slightly bigger maybe, nice and squishy. You can get that at the dollar store, Winners, sometimes for those things, and then Amazon. That's where I would recommend. It's just like a cheap option. Then you might need some little loop bands and maybe a long flex band. I like mine like really nice and long. You can do a lot more with it, and like medium tension. You don't want something too stiff. It's better to have it more flexible because then you can just adjust your tension. So if you're interested in grabbing those, go ahead and get them. Easy to find on Amazon. I always like the Marathon brand for most things. I really like the Marathon flex bands. The blue one, the like dark blue, is the one I use. So anyways, you're free to go. You did it. First day done. Congratulations. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.